Imagine investing hours into UGC ad ideation only to receive creatives that completely miss the look and feel you envisioned. Now you're left wondering why your UGC ad creatives don't align with your original vision. I have some good news and bad news for you. The bad news? This often happens because your UGC brief didn't effectively communicate your vision for the ad idea. But here's the good news. Actually, I'll share that with you after you learn a bit about what I do. Who am I and why am I qualified to tell you all this information? My name is Iradia and I'm the founder of IDMA, which is a growth consulting and management firm for e-commerce and direct-to-consumer brands. At IDMA, we simply help e-commerce brand owners scale their e-commerce brands to multiple 7 figures or 8 figures a year by implementing our growth infrastructure into their businesses and managing it on their behalf. In other words, we partner with brand owners and take care of the marketing and sales department within their business to make it inevitable for them not to achieve profitable, predictable, and sustainable growth with their brands. Alright, so we've gone through the audience research and offer refinement / creation phase, right? We've done all the research, we've done the ad creative research, we've also gone through the ad idea development process. Now it's time to actually write the brief, right? That we're gonna send the UGC creatives, right? Obviously, we're focusing on UGC creatives for this training, right? So now we're gonna go through the process of writing a UGC brief, and I'm gonna show you an example of what a UGC brief that we use internally looks like, right? Again, this the brief, which we'll go through in a second. The brief can be anything you want, right? But the point is, there has to be a few key pieces of information within it to actually be effective, right? You can do it however you want to do, as long as you get what you envisioned in your mind actually created by the creator. Then that's all that matters. It doesn't have to be the way we do it. As long as you get what you envisioned in your mind, in reality, it actually is. As long as the ad is produced in the way you envisioned it, that's all you need, right? So now, let's get to it. Now, phase 2.4, right? UGC creative brief writing process. If you're not familiar with the UGC ad creative brief, it essentially acts as the bridge between your ad idea's inception and its execution, right? Good news. What I'm going to do in this section is give you a framework that will let you know the main things that should be included in your UGC creative brief. Then I'll go through the brief we use internally at IDMA. But first, why is it important to give a solid brief to a UGC creator? Well, quite simply, the brief can make or break a UGC ad. Most of the time, the UGC creative brief is the difference between a good UGC creative and a great UGC creative. The difference between an ad that performs well the difference between an ad that performs well and an ad that outperforms all your other ads. You can make the best UGC scripts, find the best UGC creators and the best ad video editors in the world. But if you are not clearly explaining how you want the creator to film the visuals, nothing else matters. The objective of a brief is to make sure you and the creator are on the same page and that they know exactly what you're looking for. It completely eliminates confusion, right? So the brief, like I said, it just gives clarity to the creator and it gives them an idea of what you want to create, right? Now, so what do you need to include in this UGC creative brief? Number one, terms. You need to specify the terms. This sets the foundation of the partnership and allows both parties to be on the same page. How much are you going to pay them? When they are going to actually receive the payment and under what conditions? Whether or not they are required to post it on their own social media page, TikTok, Instagram, etc. Whether they are editing the video themselves or sending the raw footage. What is the deadline for the videos or raw footage is, right? So what was the deadline? When do they need to submit the footage by? And where to send their content? Google Drive, WeTransfer, Dropbox, all works. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Just choose one, right? Number two, give them some context about the brand they're going to be making the content for. Obviously, if you're the brand owner doing this, you need to give them some context. Even us, we do it, right? But the point is, if you're a brand owner, you have to give them context about your brand, right? So they need to understand, right, your brand. What the brand does, what products do they sell, what problems do the products solve, the brand's ideal customer profile, how does the customer feel after using the product, all these things. When the creator understands the brand from the brand's perspective and the customer's perspective, they can adapt their tone of voice and energy accordingly. Don't underestimate this part. This is very important. Giving them context is very important. Number three, I'm just going through this, right? So again, if you want access to this document, DM the word resource on our IDM Instagram page, and a team member will send you over the doc, right? This brief UGC brief document, or even just the whole document that we're going through in this training, right? So, like I said, DM us the word resource on Instagram and the IDM Instagram, and they'll send you the resource, right? Now, three, give them shooting specifications. Some examples of what to include are must film, good lighting. So these are shooting specifications. So like, how do you actually want them to film the content? Like, so like these are some like guidelines or rules essentially. Like, must film the content in good lighting, film all content vertically in a 9:16 aspect ratio, 1:1 for Instagram, obviously if you're doing like a square image ad, right? But usually in most cases you're doing a 9:16 if it's going on TikTok or even Instagram Reels, right? But it could be 1:1. It doesn't matter. It depends on when you're thinking about posting this ad or launching this ad, right? Add an extra 1 to 3 seconds to the beginning and end of all raw clips. Please turn off AC, fans, and other devices when filming. Please do not add any filters or color grading to your submitted content. Avoid wearing clothing with logos. So obviously, if you're a brand owner, you don't want other brands being promoted through your ad that you're spending money on. Why are they getting free promotion? Right? So you don't want to promote them for free. So essentially, you want to wear like clear black t-shirts, right? Because they're not paying you for promotion, right? So that's what we're doing, right? So avoid wearing clothing with logos. Please keep your background clean and or aesthetic, right? Keep any part of the video from the bottom right area of the video. So we actually send them this. Like, we don't want them to actually, we want them to stay away from this part, right? So if they're filming anything, right, they need to be away from this part, right? So the bottom and the right side, because obviously TikTok blocks this side essentially with all these icons, right? So we want them to be filming in this section, if that makes sense. Let me zoom out a little bit. So as you can see, we want them to film in this part of the frame essentially. We don't want them to be filming or recording something on this side. Avoid this this side, right? Essentially, hopefully that makes sense, right? These are non-negotiables, right? We went through. These are non-negotiables. Make sure you list out what not to do when filming the different video clips. I feel like it's easier to list out what you don't want them to do than to actually list out what you want them to do, because what you don't want them to do is actually things that could ruin the video, right? So just focus on what they shouldn't do, right? Mainly, right? So that you can make sure that the raw footage that you get back from them is actually footage that you can actually use, right? So this is very important and reduces the amount of revisions needed. It will help streamline the UGC creation process. The less revisions that you need, the faster you can create ads, the faster you can launch them and test them, the faster you can scale. Simple. Let's move on. 4, give them a storyboard. I'll go through the brief that we give creators in a second, right? But essentially, you want a storyboard that essentially tells them how they should stand, where they should be standing, whether they should be facing the camera or giving a product demonstration, the angle, the position you want them to, you want them to have exactly what you have in your mind. And this storyboard makes it easy, right? Because like I said, you have this here where you have like the creator looking at the camera. So like, speaking directly to the camera. So they know, cool, I have to stand in front of the camera and say this, right? It's very clear, right? So this is the most important part of the whole brief. Make this as clear and concise as possible for the creators to look through and follow. It should include a short list, voiceover guidance, and example references to show them what you want them to do. Exactly like I said, you want to show them examples, and also obviously the script would go on the side, right? So, but the main thing is that how they should be standing. Should they be looking at the camera? Should they be like, when you want them to do a B-roll shot, what should they be doing in a B-roll shot? Give them examples, like very clear examples. That's all you really need to do to include. That's all that you really need to include in your brief. Remember, the reason we are creating this brief in the first place is to ensure that the content that the UGC creator creates is exactly the same way you envisioned it in your head. The length of your brief doesn't matter as long as you are consistently getting the content slash footage in the exact same way you envisioned it in your head. So the brief doesn't matter as long as you're getting what you wanted from the creator, right? How the way we do is one way, right? I'm not gonna say it's the best way. It's probably the best way because obviously we do it. If it wasn't the best way, we wouldn't be doing it. But you can do it your own way as long as you're consistently getting the output that you want. Great, you do that. You know what I'm saying? If it works for you, works for you, right? The main thing is, are you getting what you envisioned out of the creators, right? If so, keep doing it your way, right? That's the way we do it, right? Another thing worth mentioning here is that these UGC creators aren't business owners like you or me. And you might be thinking, well, okay, Radio, what's your point? My point is you get content back from the UGC creators, assuming the content was created the exact, so hold on. My point is, if you get content back from the UGC creator, assuming that the content was created the exact same way you wanted it to be created, and you launch it as an ad on TikTok or Meta, and you do not get an ROI, that is not the creator's fault. It is your fault. So if you tell the creator to create an ad the way you wanted it to be created, and the creator creates it the exact same way you wanted them to create it, and you don't get results with it, it's not the creator's fault. It's your fault. Your creative strategy was flawed, right? You got it wrong. Your ad didn't hit this time, right? It just didn't hit, right? Not every ad that you launch is gonna hit anyways, but if your creative strategy is off, you definitely not gonna hit, right? You're never gonna hit, right? If you don't have a good creative strategy, right? So it's not the creator's fault. It's not their the ad performing or not, it's not down to them. Because if you brief them properly and you have a good creative strategy, not usually, I mean, in most cases, your ads won't hit, but you will get performing ads, right? It's not down to the creator. The point I'm trying to make is it's your fault, not the creator's fault. It's your fault. You need to take accountability for that, right? Now, these UGC creators are actors or models, nothing more. It's your job to find the ad concept, messaging, or ad structure that gets you paid. Simple as, or gives you an ROI, right? Let's go through the UGC brief template very quickly, all right? Again, if you want access to this doc, DM us the word resource on Instagram, and a team member will reach out to you and just not reach out, but a team member will reply to you and essentially send you the document, right? So you can have the document to this training, this whole document, or the UGC brief, whichever, like wherever anything we go through in this training, you can have access to it if you DM us on Instagram, right? That's that. So the UGC brief templates. So number one, obviously you want to have the current date that you wrote. Obviously we use that internally for us, obviously to track what we do, right? You don't have to do that. That's up to you, right? Again, everything I'm showing you here, you don't have to do it. It's just what I would recommend you do because this is what we do, right? So you have the e-commerce brand overview, the name, the website, the Instagram page link, the TikTok page link, a brief description of what the brand does, and obviously target audience. All this information we already collected from the brand owner, right? So we already know all this information. So we just put it here for the creator to have context. Like I said earlier, we have to have context, right? Then the next thing is product overview. So what products did we send to the creator? Do we want the creator to create footage for, basically? What product do we want the creator to create content with, right? So product, brief description, a link to the landing page, right? So they can see more of what the product can do, right? Because obviously the product page on the website has more information about the product, right? And sometimes the product hasn't been released yet by the brand, so they're trying to create ads for the launch, right? So if it hasn't been released, we send them a link, like a Google Drive link, right? So to see a picture of what the product looks like, right? So if it's not been released yet, so we send them a link, right? So in some cases, not always, right? Most cases you can just go to the product page because it's already out, right? And they can just see it there. But if not, if it hasn't been released, we send them a link to a Google Drive and they can see the image of the product, right? So simple. Product value propositions, benefits, features, unique selling points, guarantees or warranties. Now, granted, obviously we take a lot of creative control, right? Because we tell the creators exactly what to do, right? But it's still good for them to know this kind of things, right? They might even use this information and add it to the ad creative. Now, obviously, like I said, we take creative control. So we tell them exactly what to say and what not to say. But they might feel like, you know what, I can create an extra piece of content with one of these things, and they might do that, right? They might do that. So some creators will, some creators won't, right? But it's good to put it there just to add extra context, right? So next, key details. Honestly, this is what we use internally. This is not really for the creator, right? So, but just to keep an organized, file, because we send a lot of briefs, right? So we want to know when this was created. That's why we have the date at the top, right? Because we want to know when this was created and stuff like that. It's just internal use essentially, right? So key details, so core ad concept name, because again, like I said, we come up with ad concepts first before we create any ad. So like I said, this is we practice what we preach. We have the core, we have every core ad concept that we come up with has a name. So we have to put the name here, right? Before we send the ad, before we create the ad in general, you have to have a name, right? And the ad idea number, again, we come up with the ad idea. As I said, everything we talk about just now in the ad idea development process, we actually use it in practice, because that's why we have it here, right? So ad idea number, this is for internal use. As I said, creative batch name, again, this is for internal use. Campaign objective, making money. Sales, and deadline 4 days from the day package was received, because see, we move fast, we don't move slow, right? So sometimes even some creators even create the content within 3 days, 2 days, and it's relatively fast, right? But obviously there might be some revisions, right? So that's another thing to take into consideration. The faster we can move, the better, right? So please submit via WeTransfer. We use WeTransfer. I mean, you can use Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever works for you, right? If there's any issues related to the shipping of product itself, please contact our creative strategist immediately. Yeah, so that's our team, right? So payment methods. The faster you create the content, the sooner you receive payment. Keep this brief. Keep this in the brief. If we are paying the creator with money or not with the product. So some creators, we might just pay them with the product, right? So we might just do a gifted kind of thing, right? Situation. And you will receive X for your work. Keep this in the brief. If you are paying the creator with money, and you'll be compensated with the products. Keep this in the, so this is just for internal use, right? So anyways, by the way, if you're wondering if we have a contract, we also have a contract, right? But this is a brief. This is to tell them exactly what to do, like for the creative. Now, we might mention these details here, but we also have a contract. So on the contract, we also have these details, right? So we have a contract that they have to sign and stuff like that. That's different, but this is a brief, right? But hey, you might choose to add it here as well. You might choose to not add it here. It's up to you, your brief, right? But we add it in because why not? And it also makes it easier for us to access information. Again, we might use this as a reference in the future. So if we have all the information in one place, we don't have to go and look for the contracts and all this stuff. We can just go back to the brief and check the brief and have everything there. So that's why we have it there. While listing license term, this applies if we request the UGC creator to post the UGC ad on their own TikTok page, allowing us to utilize TikTok Spark ads for promotion. So this applies if you're running TikTok ads, and obviously you want to use their account to run the ad, right? So the ad wouldn't be run on your account; it would be run on the creator's account, right? If they're an influencer and stuff like that, doing this, right? So, anyways, I'm sure you can read this. Content brief. Content will be used for ads, so not posting to organic handles will be required. So, if we're doing like a UGC ad, we don't need the creator to post the ads on the organic feed, because we're using it as an ad on our account or our brand account, right? So we don't need them to post them organically, right? For creative strategies, add the name of ad platforms to running ads. So this is just for internal use. I mean, listen, you might not have this in your brief, so you don't have to worry about it. Again, if you want access to this template, DM us the word resource on Instagram. You can have access to it. And then shooting specifications, we've already gone through this before. So like, so all these things that they shouldn't do, basically, right? Again, so, and then we get to the storyboard. So you have the shots facing the camera, visual example, sample script, right? So obviously this is a hook, so hook 1, hook 2, hook 3, and then instructions. So just more additional information that it might be useful for them to know, right? So give very specific instructions. It seems very pretty obvious. Clarify expectations for the content. So Google Drive folder, UGC ad examples. So we might even give them examples of what we want them to create. So not just a screenshot, we also give them a link to access a video of how something should be done, right? So here, Google Drive folder of UGC ad examples, insert. This is to help UGC creator understand how we want them to film a particular part. So it's very simple, right? as you can see, and then you have B-roll again. You have a separate screenshot to show them stand like this or do this like this in a setting like this, whatever the case may be. UGC contract is sent to the UGC creators that agree to work on a project first out of all the qualified ones we reach out to you from the creator database. This is for internal use, obviously, right? Obviously, we have a creator database, and that's how that works. But yeah, so this is a brief, essentially. As I said, the brief doesn't have to be exactly like this, but if it's like this, it will be useful because you get the results. This is what we use. This is what works for us. But you can do whatever works for you, right? And that's fine. There's no wrong way to do it, as long as you get what you envisioned created. As long as the creator creates what you envisioned in your mind, great, amazing, good job, right? So that's the UGC brief. And that's the end of this part, right? So now we're gonna move on to how to structure your ad account to test and launch ads, right? So that's that. Cool. And this brings us to the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking for free specific help with your digital marketing efforts, feel free to book a free consultation call with us. To do that, all you need to do is click the first link in the description of this video, choose a date, and fill in a short questionnaire about your business. An IDMA growth consultant will get on a call with you to give you advice and actionable steps to solve any specific digital marketing problem you're currently facing with your e-commerce brand. Now, full disclosure, at the end of the consultation call, if our growth consultants determine that your brand meets our required standards, then we might consider a partnership with you. At IDMA, we do not consider a partnership with every brand owner. In fact, we only partner with brand owners that are in a position to rapidly scale their brands with the help of our growth team. With that being said, book a consultation with us to get free specific help with your digital marketing efforts. Thank you for watching this video. Take care.